Welp, yesterday I done goofed. In my fervor to release my GTA 5 running on the Radeon 5850 video, I forgot to include the actual game benchmark in that feature. So I'm making up for it today by releasing the supplementary GTA 5 on the Radeon 5850 video here. So first let me let you know what settings I used for this benchmark. So from the get-go we're using 1920 by 1080 as our resolution. We're running with FXAA on, no MSAA or VSync. Population distance and variety, as well as distance scaling, are at their maximums. One of the biggest caveats dealing with only a gigabyte of video memory is we have the texture quality only at normal levels, shader quality is at high, as well as some more visually important options, while some things like ambient occlusion and tessellation are just left on normal. While texture quality by far takes up the most video memory space, our other options here will take up appropriate amounts of video memory as well, so we do need to keep some kind of control over them. Otherwise we'll just oversaturate both the video memory as well as the graphics processor itself. A very important thing of note is I have made a big change to OBS and how I'm recording videos now. That is, I'm making use of the quick sync, video encode and decode capabilities built into my Intel CPU, which almost completely eliminates the need to use the CPU cores for video capture, giving us a much more accurate representation of this hardware, especially when one considers the fact that the CPU has to send draw calls to the graphics processor, and Radeon graphics processor drivers are known for being more CPU heavy than NVIDIA ones. Immediately we can see that this graphics processor fluctuates from just under 30 to just above 40, depending on the graphics load. Through each benchmark sequence, this tends to be the trend, as well as the ever-present frame pacing issues that one can detect visually with their eyes. At least we can see that the 5850 does have the grunt to run this game with quite a bit of the visual settings increased above normal. However, somewhere in the software or hardware stack, we have this frame pacing issue. In my previous video, I did talk about the fact that running this game, even without OBS on, no recording whatsoever, just running the game by itself, the frame pacing issues were still present. I am running this game off an SSD, so loading data off that hard drive system into the RAM should not be that much of an issue like it would be with a platter hard drive. Frame pacing issues tend to crop up the most when you're moving large distances at very high speed, especially within Los Santos itself. You can also see some of this happening with Jet here, though once we get to Los Santos itself and get down to street level, it'll become even more apparent. And I would almost recommend just reducing the settings even further down to get us closer to 60 FPS, which will further mitigate the frame pacing issues. But that comes at the cost of visual splendor, and what PC gamer really wants to do that? Now the frame pacing is something I can sort of get by, though when it's most jarring is when it's the most annoying, of course. However, you may just want to reduce the visual settings and get as close to 60 FPS to further mitigate the frame pacing. However, maybe you should just buckle down and buy a new video card. Sometimes that's really just what you need to do. If you are happy with 720p and reduced visual settings, well, more power to you. I'm not completely against that. Heck, I find testing that kind of stuff pretty interesting. However, for me personally, I would like to play this game in 1080p with most of the settings turned up. And while the 5850 really can't do that, at the same time I do commend the fact that it has enough performance to run close to medium-ish settings, which is pretty impressive for a 6-year-old video card. However, technically this game is really rooted in the previous generation of game consoles, with DX11 features more or less just bolted on. However, this is one title that pushed the PS3 and the Xbox 360 to their absolute limits. So as always, if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, make sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any new videos as they come out, and feel free to leave a comment down below. I do enjoy reading them. I still have at least 5 other games that I'm going to be benchmarking with this graphics card, so stay tuned in the next 2 weeks. Take care everybody, and enjoy your weekend.